Well, hey, or continuing on with the animal internet. Uh, yeah, man, back to Noah and fairy tales, and really what Noah must have been more like. Basically, Noah would have been it would have appeared as if he would have been shamanistic, and he would have been a lot like a medicine man, but medicine man, they get dismissed as witch doctors, but really that's what you would call as a zoologist. That's a scientist. That's someone who's in tune with the environment and nature, and who's been out there and has witnessed things for himself and understands the workings of things. But I mean, even when it comes to Noah, it's even a more of a supernatural component there because, I've heard people talk about how after Adam and Eve fell, God taught them how to make skins from badgers, basically. Uh, I heard that they didn't have to hunt in the beginning, that they had a communication with animals, and then certain animals would just basically submit themselves to be consumed. But because they didn't actually have to be snuffed out, you know what I'm saying? But then again, that's kind of it's actually almost, listen, you hunt out of camaraderie of another living being. It's like, listen, you're free, little living being, so listen, I'm gonna give you 10 steps before I shoot, basically. I mean, it's kind of like that. It's like, I'm gonna give you a fighting chance. If I can't get you, you deserve to live. So, but in the beginning, there was a way that man could control animals. So, and basically Enoch was instructed by Noah. So this knowledge was passed on. It's just been lost over time or exaggerated into a different realm. You know what I'm saying? Of pure scientific, false scientific. When you say pure scientific, because science don't explain everything, and then they purposefully steer you wrong sometimes. So science is flawed as what we understand science means. What I'm talking to you about is actual real science. This is the power of deduction skills, observation, uh, predicting behavior patterns, understanding elements, circumstance, taking into weighing in, considering the factors. Uh, so it's all on your perspective of if you recognize things or do not. But the animal internet, like I'm saying, look, the animals are in tune. It's like, for instance, it's like dogs. They have a nose. They can smell the cats. They can smell other dogs. They mark their territory that way through smells that we can't perceive as people. But if you know how animals work and you know what their little duty is and job is as a creature, you know what I'm saying, a living creature. Though animals may not have a soul, they are spirit. They are spirit. You know what I'm saying? I believe that animals have spirit. Men have spirit, but we have soul as well, which is, it's a gift, but it's also it's a heavy understanding, and that's the difference. That's why the animals are normally so happy, is because they are free of that burden. You know what I'm saying? Of being a living soul. In the beginning, it wasn't meant to be a burden. It just became a burden when certain elements entered into man's understanding. But at the same time, that also was, that's where all all these things that are edified these days, like science and knowledge and understanding, and the ability to be the one who dictates what is right and what is wrong and what is true and what is false and what is history and what is science and what is fact. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because it's just like anything else. It's just like law policy. Who's the real politicians? The lobbyists. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing in your schools. Who's the arbiter of what is and isn't, it's the lobbyists. Whoever pays the most money to who's in control is the one who determines what is true and what is false, and what you should know and what you shouldn't. Uh, but yeah, back to this animal internet. I mean, you can learn a lot about animals because they survive, and it seems like, by all means, by looking at it, it seems like the rains would kill them, the cold will kill them, the heat from the sun will kill them, starvation will kill them. They're still there. You can learn a lot from that. It's kind of like in the Bible when Solomon says, "Oh, thou sluggard, why don't you just look at the ant and consider her ways?" You know what I'm saying? Because if you watch the ants, they're constantly out doing stuff. They're just doing stuff. They're productive. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and even though, birds are what they are, they still get fed regardless. Even though it seems like they're just out flying around and not doing anything. You know what I'm saying? But no, everything in its time and its place. They're going. It's like water. Okay, water follows the contours of the surfaces where it meets them. You know what I'm saying? And animals act similarly to that. And I mean, really, that is a good motto and template to understand things. It's like, listen, follow the contours of them, follow them closely, and you'll get to know them. And that applies to all things. Yeah, back to the animal internet. God, asked Jacob to sacrifice his son Isaac, and he answered him with a ram in the bush. So I mean, there's another animal messenger. Noah, when the flood was over, here comes the dove. Jesus getting baptized, John the Baptist, like a spirit, like the dove, descended upon him. So, I mean, God communicates through the animal internet sometimes to men, and it indeed is it through dreams, even dreams about animals. Indians also would understand this. If someone tried to interpret the cow coming out of the river, to an Indian, he'd be like, oh, he would understand of that. He might not understand exactly, but he would take heed to it, because he'd be like, oh, that must be a supernaturally derived premonition, and normally those only come from God. That's what an Indian man would have known about that. So the animal internet it's legit. It's biblically sound. It's I mean, from my experience, you can tap into it. And in Kung Fu, there's something called the true man. It's like a man who is seeking it may attain it sometimes. It's like, and it was expressed in this harmonious word, zip zoop, zip zoop. The dude was sword fencing, and he was so content. It was like he almost caught into the flow and the harmony of everything, and even the birds were singing along with him. And dude, that my video wood swords training, where the crows, man, came when I was doing my sword bagua training, and the birds came, and it was zip zoop. It was like, look, I'm trying to be the true man. The true man is someone who put in the time and energy to figure out what it actually is to exist, man, to live. It's just someone who delved deeper than other people. You know what I'm saying? And there's many means which you can achieve this same true man aspect. Like John the Baptist was a true man. He was a dude walking around in a loincloth, like Geronimo, hanging out by the river, only talking about things about God. Not even, listen, hey, he was just like the birds. He was at the mercy of nature. See, that's the other thing about this. Nature, okay? There's all these cults and philosophies edifying nature, dude. And listen, I'm not going to say nature isn't awesome. It was even greater before man started tampering with it so much, dude. Nature is a glorious splendor. It's wondrous, and it is almost motherly. You know what I'm saying? And in some aspects, in a way, yeah. I mean, it is the building blocks that man and animal and tree and everything is made out of. This is what God used to create everything. That's see, some people get stuck at nature. And that's where you get, advanced philosophers. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they got some compelling ideas and they make some compelling uh, uh, points. But nature, if you really understand nature and you see how complex and awesome it is, God created that, and this is just a footprint of God. A fingerprint. Like he left a fingerprint there to kind of like mark in your territory. Like, look, this is the intelligence that you are dealing with. Someone who has the capacity, they could put all of this together, even create us men. You know what I'm saying? And give us this mind that can think and it's so powerful, and this heart that can feel so much, dude. I mean, that in itself, see, that's the difference. That's the flip flop. People start to edify animals. Oh, the wolves are God. You know what I'm saying? Which is like, watch wolves. How could that be God? You know what I'm saying? Or the sun is God. Hey, the sun is so awesome too. It's awesome to have sunlight. It's awesome to get a tan. It's awesome to go to the beach. The animals also like the sun. But a lot of animals don't come out till after the sun's gone. That's for a reason. I mean, listen, if you think the sun is God, why don't you go outside and just stare at the sun every day, all the time? And then in 20 years, when you're blind and you have cancer, you know what I'm saying? It's like, the sun is just, it's something that it is a part of the big picture, but it's not the end all be all. Again, you know what I'm saying? But it is a big component of how this is all put together, though, because look, basically the sun feeds the plants that the animals eat, and then we eat the animals. So really, there is an alchemical process going on out here. It's like everything's self regenerating. You know what I'm saying? Through it's taking the sunlight and turning it into matter, and then we're all consuming it, and it is blessing us. But those things are not God. God set all this in order, and He gave us all this freedom, dude, and all this leeway, dude. That's the true essence of this, and that's what you really do tap into. You realize they lied to you. They never told you about the animal internet, though they've entertained you to it. It is simple as just science, observation. You could just say that. Listen, I'm an observative person. I was trained to study the animals, so now I can get indicators from them. But there is also a supernatural component to it as well, where it's like, just like, why do people love each other? You know what I'm saying? Why will someone sacrifice their life to save another? You can't quite explain it. It don't make sense, but it's something also at the same time. Though we like to dwell on our darker aspects, there is still good aspects in human beings and in nature and in life, and even being able to tap in and share and cohabitate and experience with these other innocent creatures. It's a beautiful experience. But sometimes though you don't want to learn about nature in the middle of 50 wolves, and you'll find out the hard way that it is what it is, though. You know what I'm saying? A wolf's a wolf, a shark's a shark, a bear's a bear, a lion's a lion. God is God. You know what I'm saying? Uh so you got to know these things. That when you play with powerful things, powerful consequences come about it. You know what I'm saying? And that's why God has to sometimes talk to us through messengers, is because if He came and revealed Himself to us, it'd be like scanners, and our mind would just go, our body, we just spontaneous combustion. So you got to remember that it's mercy to have a middleman. You know what I'm saying? That's read the Bible, read the gospel. That's your intercessor.